Okay guys, so in the last video we talked about how there are three types of questions on the SOL. I mean, obviously there's a lot of types, but they break into three categories: reasoning lines and transformations, triangles, and then polygon, circles, and 3D shapes. So now we're on the triangle section. This is the really boiled down version of all the most important things that we think that you might not remember naturally or we might need to go over. There's more than just this, but these are some of those key things, okay? The first type of question you might see in the triangle section is it a triangle? So they might give you three numbers. So for instance, let's say they give you 5, 8, and 9 as the side lengths. The lengths of the two smaller ones need to add up to more than the biggest one. So I'm going to say two smaller must be larger than the biggest side. Okay, the two smaller sides must be larger than the biggest side. So 8 and 5 together, the two smaller ones, add up to more than 9, because that's 13. 13 is bigger than 9. Okay? The third type of question is going to say, okay, let's say I have two side lengths, maybe a length of 8 and 10. We want to know what the possible values of this third side are going to be. And all we do is we do side minus side, and we do side plus side, and then make an inequality. So if I subtract these, I get 2. If I add them, I get 18. So the length of that question mark side is going to be between 2 and 18. It has to be bigger than 2, because it's a less than side, we don't include 2, and smaller than 18. Okay? Sometimes we're going to get congruency statements. So something like triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And the really important thing is that order for a congruency statement matters. We'll talk more about this in class when we see a problem. That's a good example. Okay. With similar triangles, there's two things to remember. The first thing to remember is that all of the sides, if you match them up, so the heights from one, the height from the other, the radius from one, the radius from the other, they should all simplify down to the same scale factor or simplified fraction if they're similar triangles. And if we have similar triangles, we're going to set up a proportion to solve. Okay. Something else that's not on this list is we might have to prove triangles are congruent, and we have 5 ways of doing that. Remember, we have SSS, SAS, ASA, AAS, and HL, but we're not going to add that to this memory sheet. But we'll see some problems that use those every once in a while. Next thing, if we're given a triangle and you know that the sides, like you know this is the smallest, this is the medium, this is the largest side. Remember, the smallest angle is opposite the smallest side, the medium side is opposite the medium angle, the large side is opposite the large angle. The last big thing for triangles is right triangles, and typically we can just use one of two things to solve. The first thing that we use a lot, and I always want to start seeing if I can use this, is the Pythagorean Theorem. However, if we don't have two sides and we're solving for a third and we're dealing with angles, we might have to use trigonometry. And remember, for trigonometry we use the saying so, ka, toa. This stands for sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent side. Sometimes we have to use our third option, but remember, we can't use 30, 60, 90, and I don't want you guys to even use these unless you know you can't use these. But sometimes we have to use our special right triangles too, and we'll remind ourselves about those rules later. But if you don't see an angle that's 30, 60, or 45, you cannot use those rules. But we're going to just leave it like that for now, okay? So that's the end of the triangle section. I'll make a video. There'll be a third video available that you guys can watch on polygons, circles, and 3D.